Hey guys, welcome to Jerry's Live. As always, I'm your host, Amy Gardner Dean. Today we've got episode JL122. That's JL122. We're going to be doing a pastel landscape demo featuring Mungyo Extra-Soft Pastels. So before we get started, we wanted to let you know something about an episode that we're going to have coming up that will be towards the end of October. October 22nd to be exact, correct, Katie? We're going to be doing a demo with Turner acrylic gouache. Some of you guys may remember last year we did an acrylic gouache demo, and a lot of people seem like they had some residual questions about gouache and how it works and why acrylic gouache is different than regular watercolor gouache, etc., etc. Well, we're going to have another episode, and we're going to feature Turner acrylic gouache. Now, like the episode that we did last year, we are going to have some free samples that we're going to send out to some of the viewers that are quick enough to get in on the action and get signed up for it. We've got 500 samples to be exact. The girls are going to be posting the link to the website where you're going to need to fill in your information to get that free sample and have it shipped out to you in advance of the show, so that you'll have it in hand by the 22nd of October, and you'll be able to try it and then give us any questions or feedback you've got on that actual product before the episode. And with that episode, I think what we're going to do is do a demo of an eye, because eyes are really hard to paint, and so we'll use Turner to show you how easy it is to achieve that in acrylic gouache. So Amanda and Frida will be putting up the link periodically through the show to be able to go and sign up for that. And just remember, 500 samples is all we've got. So at the time that we hit 500, that site's going to get closed down, and unfortunately, there won't be more samples of that. So it'll be just two small bottles that are little, or I guess tubes, rather, two small tubes that will be going out to people to be able to try out the Turner acrylic gouache. So
get the jet black, I do believe, which is
jet black and then the white. Okay, so the hallmarks of acrylic gouache are it being a really nice matte color, but also extremely opaque, right? So you can layer over it and over it, but it's acrylic, so it is very water resistant, but still has that beautiful matteness to it. And the jet black for that is like super
like
crazy.
Velvet.
Yes, it does. It looks like if you paint that, if you take a little canvas panel and you paint it that black, it does look like velvet. It looks like you should be able to feel that soft furry texture. So anyway, so get signed up for that, and then you can be in on that episode with us. And that will be episode JL126. So back to today, JL122 is what you're going to want to type in that search bar on jerrysartorama.com to be able to pull up the list of the items we have today. Now, we're not using a whole lot of stuff for this because people inherently always think pastel means that you've got to have, little sponges and brushes and all sorts of crazy tools and rags and things like that, which you can, but it's not required. So all we're using today, just to kind of showcase, especially with Christmas coming up, because, sometimes you got to give people, the sharpened end of your palette knife, poke, to give them ideas for Christmas. So this Mungyo set is the set of 200. That's the wood box set. It's got great trays that you can lift out and be able to actually put those out alongside your easel or workspace to have. So that's a great set that we're going to be showing today. I just put the latex gloves that we sell because that keeps that pastel dust from getting down in your fingertips. Makes it a little easier to hold the pastel. You can opt to put one on the other hand or not if you want to blend with your fingertips, as far as the gloves go, but that's a set of 10 gloves. UArt premium sanded pastel paper. I've already got one taped up here. It comes in grits from, I think, this is 280, so I think it's 280 all the way up to 800. If you've ever had wood shop, it's just like sandpaper. The higher that number goes, the finer the grit. So I prefer the kind of rougher grit surface to it, either the 280 up to like maybe a 400, because the grittier it is, the more layers you're going to be able to apply. And kind of while you're learning, it's easier to have err a little bit on the side of a rougher paper. Just because it seems easier. So that's what we're using today is the UArt, and it's a 12 by 18 sheet surface. Just got that taped down with some of the artist masking tape, and I think we're ready to go. What do you ladies think? Are there any questions about the Turner thing, or does everybody seem like they got it and they're jumping on that and joining up? We're just going to paint, I will show this here and there, we're just going to paint a small little kind of beach sunset, as it were, for our demo today. I've got it taped up here so it's easier for me to see that while I'm turned working. We are using the DaVinci Multimedia easel, and this easel is, this is our studio easel. That's how much we like this. It stays here and I use it when we're not filming. It tilts forward so that with pastels that excess dust can fall down and it doesn't just kind of slide down the surface of your painting. It tilts forward, it tilts back. You can lay it flat if you do any watercolor. It's a great easel if you do multiple media, because it doesn't matter what you do except for gigantic works. This doesn't go super gigantic, but for reasonably sized works it can do anything. So and it's got a little tray at the bottom that you can put extra supplies. Yes, Frida.
And it folds up super compact. It's got like a 3-inch wide.
Yeah, for the depth. Yeah, you can
it.
and yeah, it once it's all slid down, it can go right under a bed, like a twin size bed, super easy. So it's a nice little easel. So that is the DaVinci Multimedia easel. Almost forgot about that. Turned around and was like, oh, the easel's on the list. So good Christmas gift as well for yourself. All right, so we are just going to work on this little kind of waterscape. There was a different one I was going to do, but it was not bright enough to be able to see easily. So we're going to do this. If anybody has questions as we're going through this, feel free to jump in. I am not a pastel artist, nor do I play one on TV. So we are going to kind of learn this together. I mean, I've done some pastel work. I really enjoy it. It's kind of a different, you kind of have to turn gears a little, don't you, Frida, and kind of layer things differently. With acrylics or oils, typically you layer light to dark, because with some colors that are transparent, things like that, you can see through them, right? So if you do your dark ones first and then you've got to layer light or white ones over it, sometimes that can be more difficult. Pastels are great. You can do it the opposite way. Darks and then up to lights. No, I'm serious. And you just don't think about that because it's just powdered pigment, right? There's not because there's clays as the binder, it doesn't have that problem where it's not going to be opaque. So that kind of gives you a little bit more leeway, so to speak. All right, so I'm going to do things that you might just, like, it might hurt your heart to do. I will break pastels while I work, and I'm sorry if you're that person. I'm warning you now so that you don't get the vapors or, whatever when I start breaking the pastels. It's just easier to use some of them on their sides, okay? So I'm just going to start with, since this is kind of a tan paper, I need something slightly off that I'll be able to see my sketch underneath, but not so much so. You know what, I'm going to put another piece out so I can check the pastels on it. You obviously don't have to have as large of a sheet as I will have, because I'm just going to take this out to save time. That's way darker than I thought, and that's why you test. Don't need anything that dark. Just need it light enough so that we can see it, but not so light that it's going to be missing in the thing. All right, so we talked about composition. This is where we're doing a demo. We're not worried about this being the perfect composition, because I'm definitely not taking this bad boy and framing it. I'm serious. Katie laughs at me. So, and then I have to remember that this is tilted forward, which seems very strange when I start working.
It freaks them out when you don't complete your demo pieces for some reason.
Well, because everybody wants their artwork to be finished, right? But it doesn't have to be all the time. You don't have to do it. Okay. We'll tweak this as we go. This is just so we can get the line and the water coming up. I'm going to put the dude in later. We're not that worried about where he's at right now. What?
Remember, like, you're facing away from the microphone, so you gotta
Oh,
talk louder.
blah. Okay,
Or
sorry.
yell at them.
Okay. Yes, there's a little man in the picture. We'll stick him in later. He can be an afterthought, that little man. All right, so all this, we can cover that. All this is just making myself some little notes as far as to where some of these things are gonna be, okay? Looks nothing like the thing, it's just notes. All right, so something you'll notice since this paper is so light, the sanded paper, things that don't seem like they'd be that dark, like this seems like it's close to the same, right? It's not that far off. Makes a much darker mark on it. So keep that in mind if you're wanting your value to be lighter on that. Definitely test on a scrap piece. All right, so let's start with our, got this so I can kind of hold it over my colors and see what is going to be able to kind of work for my, ooh, that's nice. That's really nice. Okay. Breaking the stick. Look away. It's all right. And I am going to not keep a glove on the other hand because I won't be able to peel the paper off easily otherwise. All right. Putting it on its side, I'm going to kind of get our horizon line going here that we've got. If you get questions, ladies, just fire it away. Oh, suddenly there's a big wave in my horizon line. Okay. All right, and I'm also going to put this kind of in the waves that are here, just so we can kind of see what we're talking about. There's the horizon line. I'm going to go back and make that a little more aqua, but this is very similar to the color of these waves in here. So I'm going to kind of lay those in and lay in that shoreline. They are not super symmetrical, so we're going to and for those of you who have issues with chalkboard scratching, that sanded paper may not be your friend. This is
Makes good noises, though.
it's scratchy, scratchy. Yeah, but you gotta like noises. If you don't like noises, this might not be for you. The key to pastel is being patient because it seems like this just looks like a bunch of scribbling mumbo jumbo, and then slowly as the layers kind of come together, it makes more sense. All right, I'm gonna look for a nice, ooh, I like that. All right, look away. So crumbly. All right, taking a nice little piece that fell off, kind of. I'm gonna put this along my, see how well that just went right over that with no problem. I'm gonna ghost in kind of my clouds in the background. Let me know, girls, if turning my head is too hard to hear it, I will yell.
Do you work dark to light when you work in pastels?
It just depends. I can't for me, because it's pastels are kind of the closest to sculpture I feel like most supplies get, because you can work in positive and negative colors. With dark to light, I see it as positive and negative, right? So luckily, just how you layer or even kind of mix the two, you can kind of, this is probably the most kind of forgiving of the mediums because you can layer right over it. As long as you've not filled your textured paper or surface, right? Once it gets to a point, it's going to be pretty hard. You have to be real kind of tricky how you do it. Okay, you know what? The gloves are coming off. I can't feel it under my fingertips.
How did you decide to start with that color tone paper?
And on that note,
okay. Go ahead. Yes.
why did you not choose to do an underpainting or why would you choose to do an underpainting?
You can do an underpainting if you want a specific solid color. Because this has golds and things like that in it, I'm just using this natural tone paper because that's fine. You can always kind of tap over it to blend, you know, to not see that. Doing that, I would have to do one way in advance, and then I would then also have to show you to do that. We just don't have time in the demo. Right now, we're just concentrating on kind of how you would build and form a landscape. And what was your question, Amanda?
Why'd you pick tan?
UArt only comes in this color. I think well, I take that back. I think they have black now, but it's either that or black. It's not that they come in multiple ones. Yeah. There's other ones.
Don't have a darker brown?
No, my teens does,
Yeah.
but that's not, but this is the sanded paper, so you get what you get.
She didn't choose.
Nope. Not unless it was for this one, yeah. All right. Now there's some little clouds kind of back here. I'm just ghosting them in because obviously I'll have to kind of pop those back up once I put other colors on it. Yeah, you know, if you did like the My Teens paper, just textured paper, you could get all sorts of colors. Or you could take this and do watercolor or watercolor gouache underneath, or even, you know, a very thin acrylic or something like that, so that you would have a toned ground, meaning you would start with a specific color. You could pick something out of your kind of what you're working on or whatever, but you could choose to do that, but it's just sometimes unless you've played with the pastel, and this is just kind of a early learning work, you don't know what the coverage is, especially on a new texture of paper. I don't know if I've used 280 before. I typically go a little bit higher, but I thought it would be kind of a fun difference to try. So until I know how well that fills, I'm gonna have to play with it. So this is kind of experimenting. And I know everybody always wants a finished work. That's all well and good. But unless you've played with it to really see how it works and really explore the facets of the texture and stuff it provides, sometimes the finished work shouldn't be your ultimate goal. It should be playing with it so when you go to do that finished work, you can be faster and smarter at it, if that makes sense. Faster, smarter. All right, so I'm looking for a nice yellow to put in my background. Now on this paper, yellow is gonna be crazy pop. I don't want this to be so overpowering, so I'm putting a little bit of a color next to that violet that I've got, just to kind of see what it looks like and see if this is gonna be too much or not.
Grace wants you to put on an apron so you stop messing up your clothes.
It's non-toxic, it'll wash out.
How do you do fine detail when you're doing pastel, or do you think it's better to work loose?
You can do fine detail. What you're gonna need are either the hard pastel sticks, where they're extra hard or firm, or pastel pencils, because what you can do is do your looser stuff and then kind of cut back in, or even start with it more detailed and work that way. There's so many different styles of techniques. There's not really a right or wrong. See how that? Yes.
Also seen where there's one portrait artist that I really like. She will take blending stuffs and sharpen them to a point, and then rub those on the end of a soft pastel to put the color onto there.
Oh,
and
nice.
use that for detail.
You'd have to have very soft pastels, but it definitely would work. That probably gives kind of a nice muted quality too. Okay, now, I mean, you can get, practicing a little with these on their sides can help you get kind of a finer, more carved, honed skill with it. All right, so this is, I'm just putting that in. We've got some pink. Let's see.
So earlier somebody asked if you would ever consider underpainting. Would that mess with the grit of the UArt, or
No,
you do it?
you would do it with a fluid media. Somebody asked if you would do an underpainting with this. You could use a fluid media. But you need to tape that paper out or staple it out though first, so that you don't have a bunch of buckling and things like that, so it doesn't become a big mess. But if you use a fluid media like watercolor or watercolor gouache, the difference with where watercolor gouache may be the wiser choice is that watercolor is transparent, right? So if you're wanting to leave some parts of that paper available to be able to see that ground on it, if you've got something that's really transparent and then you're going over it with opaque, sometimes it kind of messes with your depth perception, because you have these very clear transparent things and then suddenly this very opaque surface. So use a watercolor gouache to get rid of that, because that's going to be more opaque, like what your pastels are. Did that answer enough of that question for you, Amanda, for your viewer? Okay, now this is a lot brighter than Amy did not what she said to do. She just put it on there and didn't try it on the paper, so.
You're not supposed to do that.
Now, it's fine, because I'll come back in with a little bit lighter to kind of layer over it, and then you'll see a little deeper color up under it.
Do what I say, not what I do.
That's right. Which, if you're in our Facebook Live group, I'm going to post something later that was one of those. I always tell you guys to experiment first, experiment first. And I did an artwork on a surface, and I'll put a picture of that I thought was Yupo, and then it wasn't. And so I did another artwork on Yupo thinking that's what it was, and then found out, luckily on the sample piece that I was trying how it looked on, that it won't dry at all, and I could have very easily smeared the whole drawing off. So now I'm having to come up with a very creative way of framing it to not allow the artwork to ever touch glass or anything else. Frida was on that lunchtime adventure to the retail store, which, what was her name? She saved my butt. Kelsey, if you're in the Raleigh area and you need help with framing, she is really awesome. She helped us devise a plan, didn't she, Frida?
She did. She also did a really super cool Picasso style portrait of me a couple of years back
Yes,
at
she
our
did.
company Christmas party, and it's awesome.
Yes, she did. All right. Okay, so this isn't significantly lighter, but I like the gradation, and then I'll come back in with a lighter one that's of that same, of the next lighter value. Okay, breaking these is actually a little satisfying, I'm not gonna lie. And so far I don't have any dust on my shirt, so. Alright, so this is lighter. Let's do, that is not as much lighter than I thought. Ah, it's grayer. Lighter, lighter. Now, Katie and I were talking about something earlier today, and I think in trying these on this paper and kind of looking for something specific that I'm not sure if I'm finding exactly kind of what I'm imagining I want. Different manufacturers, every manufacturer makes their colors extremely differently, right?
Yep.
Whether it's the grade values, whether it's super dark colors, because some manufacturers don't go, like I was looking in this, looking for a specific purple for a different landscape we decided not to do. And this is the darkest purple that I found. Well, there's other brands I've seen, super darks, where they make super dark sets purposefully, where the violet's almost black, right? Mm-hmm. Where they'll have a number of colors where you get darks that are so dark. It's got that. Then, in reverse, drop a piece of pastel.
They're gonna be everywhere.
Yes, they are. The lights will be so light that it's almost like a white, but it's just got that little blush of color to it. That's the exact same kind of reverse, because highlights on things, even on water, aren't going to be white, right? They're going to be a lighter color of something. So, and that's why you'll have brands like Sennelier that have, 525 colors in that giant set, because they've got from the very lightest that almost looks white of a specific color all the way to a super, super dark. So the best thing you can do when you're looking to purchase pastels is buy a good set that's got a multitude of colors like this, where you've got 200 colors to start with. Then start looking at what colors you use a lot of, especially if you're going to do a specific genre like florals or landscapes. Look at what colors you tend to already use a lot of. Then start looking at, okay, I love these colors. I need them to be a little bit lighter. Go into open stock in different pastel brands, whatever hardness, softness, whatever you're looking for, and start looking at the lightest colors that they offer for that. Because there's some artists that use like 6, 7, 8 brands of pastel just because of colors alone. Sometimes they want a pastel pencil for their, sketches. They want it for doing their really tight stuff. Then they want something super powdery and buttery to do like just some really beautiful swatches of color. I think I've got at home 4 brands of pastels and 3 brands of pastel pencils. So it's just kind of finding those colors that are right for you.
Sometimes I like different formulations for different colors.
Yes.
What do you like about working with soft pastels in comparison to other mediums?
That it helps me get over my fear of icky dirt.
It's forcing you out of your comfort zone to try something new.
I like that they're very immediate, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they're, I like how easy it is to layer them. You
You
can't
don't have to wait for it to dry.
No, you can go a lot faster. And I'm probably paying way too much attention to, all right, I'm doing a little blending here to get I'm leaving some of this bright in because I really like it. Some of this tone. It's much more immediate, like you said, Frida. You don't have to sit in, I think I've done a pastel in a night before, where, even with acrylic, you do have some dry time that you've got to worry about.
Well, this is almost a really nice happy medium between oils and acrylics because it's dry right away, which allows you to go back over it with other stuff, but you can also keep blending it,
Right.
which is the quality of oils that many people like.
Well, and I think that for me personally, it encourages me to be a lot looser because it's like drawing with a big crayon, really. Where with a paintbrush, I want to get really nitty gritty into the fine detail of it, I think. And it's not the dust that I'm coughing about. It's sinus time in North Carolina, isn't it, ladies?
Also, I think you touched on this before, but why do you sometimes break your pastel sticks as opposed to leaving them whole?
Because whole, you've only got this little surface, right? Until you start to draw with it, you only have that little tip of a surface, which is fine if you're trying to draw some finer lines. But to be able to turn it sideways and get a nice kind of, I'm going to put this on here, even though this isn't, well, let me take this one. That hurt my soul. No, it didn't.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, but Katie, a year ago, could I have broken these and not been like, no?
No.
Because probably whoever's asking that question gets that same feeling. Okay, so that was the little bit I was doing with the tip. So if I'm doing the tip, I can get like that. See how that gives a little lighter, even fingerprint. Even though this is the same color as that, see how on its side that makes a different color with the paper color through it? See how different that is than right there where I drew this line? Get a real crisp, bright color because it's showing that paper through because I'm using it almost like a sidewalk chalk on its side, right?
And because it's a thinner layer, you can also layer other colors over it a little
Yes.
bit easier and blend them, I would expect.
Yes. Yeah, so if I do that lightly across that violet, see how hazy that just made that? It almost made that kind of disappear into that gold.
Listen, I've had my head down for literally the last 10 minutes, but this is beautiful.
It's what?
It's gorgeous.
It's fun, isn't it? It's so
The
fun.
clouds.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I haven't been able to look at what you were doing for answering questions.
Oh,
for
no,
the-
that's fine.
For the last little bit.
See, that's better because then it looks really good right away when you look it up, rather than the scribbly, scrabbly yuck that happened before that. Okay, so this cloud kind of is going to fade into some darker stuff, and this fades into kind of like a really nice, I don't know if that's going to be, oh, that's too green. Ooh, that was scary. I'm trying to find the perfect color to have this fade out to. Oh, that's kind of, that might work. All right. Yeah, all right. I'm not even going to break this one. I might break this one. All right. No, I am going to break that one because it makes a really, that blending of the pieces makes a really nice color. And if we've got any pastel people that have more knowledge than I do, because if you've been painting a pastel at all, you probably have more knowledge than I do, or at least practical application experience, don't feel shy about chiming in with your experiences. That's what we're here for, right? Group learning. Group learning. People are very quiet today. This always makes me worry.
Would this work similarly in oil pastel and avoid dust, or do you think that this is more of a...
Oil pastel is not going to look the same. Oil pastel is like a greasy little crayon, even though, well, okay, but it's because the oil is the binder.
Yeah.
Because it sounds gross. I didn't mean it like that, but it's not a negative thing, but it is a greasy little crayon. It would be like expecting to take a lipstick
Right.
and draw with it and get this light, powdery, ethereal kind of quality. You're not going to get that with oil pastels, even using solvent with it. It's a very, very different appearance. It's a very different feel. That's why some people like watercolors versus oil paints, because even though you can get those jewel-like tones in oils, isn't it so much just more fluid and beautiful in watercolor? Yes, Amanda.
Are these water soluble at all?
Yes, because there's gum arabic as a binder. You can thin it some with water. You would want to let it dry absolutely completely before you started drawing on it after the fact, because it will get gummy and slimy. Not all brands of soft pastels,
Right.
but most artist quality brands, that's artist quality,
Made with the right
okay,
things.
are going to be made with something where it can be thinned down. Yes.
Would that work on the sanded paper?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just,
Yep,
you
it
want to
works.
stretch it out, or, something like that, so that you don't have the issue with buckling.
So this might be apples and oranges, but when I do chalk work,
Uh-huh.
I dampen them to make the color show up brighter. Would it work the same?
I
Or
think
do you think it would get
okay,
gummy
you
really
don't want
fast?
these to get just like in a so we've got the Sennelier set that's been on our set for forever, okay? That's just the trays sitting out. They're there because it was left in an area that was very damp open. They're very absorbent and porous. So once it absorbs moisture like that, it's going to crumble and turn into
It
a
won't dry
big,
back out.
So it doesn't look like
disgusting
chalk.
mess. No,
Yeah.
it's not the same kind of binder. It's much more, and the higher quality the
the nice
pastel,
ones, yeah.
the worse that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So when you take it and use it, because I've taken some of these and tried to use them, it just crumbles. Which you could still use it and add water from there, or kind of push the pigment around and use it more like pigment, like a pan pastel. But you're not going to be able to use it to draw easily with, because it does that. So you have to be very careful. So if you took this and dipped it in water and wet it, if you wanted that look, I would say use oil pastels and dip it in a little solvent. But again, then it's going to give it a totally different character than what this is dry.
Yeah.
So it's whatever you prefer to do. Just use some kind of smarts in how you're.
Oh, those are coming out pretty good on that sanded paper.
Oh, they're super bright.
Grab the color.
Yeah. Now I'm just doing this, and then I'm going to come back in with the darker part, because I wanted to kind of see what this would do with those colors blended. See, isn't that fun? It's so pretty. And I can still put so much more on it. I can feel in there that I can put more on it. And this is, I'm going to put a little bit of this down here. And then I'll find a grayed color to be able to kind of go. But I'm going to do this in my water. So I've got some of my water starting to get kind of laid in here. Now, a good way, if you're not sure kind of what brands you like, we did do a pastel episode with an after party, and we took all the brands of pastels that Jerry's carries, and we actually took them and did a, Mikey tried with us to apply the different pastels, see what the differences are, to see what's the hardest with some of the pastel pencils, and the harder sticks like the new pastel and things like that, all the way to super soft, rich, very buttery and luxurious pastels, to kind of see the differences of what each type of pastel gave you as far as performance. So that's something that in that list that we always pin at the very top of the episode, where it's got all of our shows, 1 in chronological order, 2 in the order of topics, you'll be able to find all the links to all those shows that we've already done by looking under pastels. Because we've done now, I don't even know. And we've done separate ones on oil pastels too. We did one on what the difference of them was. But I want to say this is maybe our 3rd or 4th soft pastel episode.
It is
Possibly.
the pastel from hard to soft to oil, the after party, oil pastels and oil sticks, different uses of each, beginning pastels, framing pastels, and oil painting pastels step by step, and then this one.
Okay. So yes, so there's a number of them too.
Is there such a thing as a pastel guild or society where you could learn from other people?
I'm sure, well, okay, yes, probably so, but it's probably going to be regional. There's the Pastel Society of America. They do all sorts of different things, I do believe. You know, look for art society. You could Google art societies and put your area in or your state in, and stuff should come up if they've got it listed, but that would be a great way to... And it's not that pastels are hard to try and use yourself. I have never had a pastel class. Kind of shows. I'm not going to lie. I wish I was more proficient at it. But how do I get more proficient at it? Practicing, doing this kind of stuff. But there's a lot of places, especially in metropolitan areas, where you're going to have more of that type of stuff. Yes, Frida?
Arlene Lehrer would like to know, is there a way to remove or erase pastel once it has been applied to the paper?
Yes, you can use a chamois cloth, and that will take pastel up. So it's just leather. It's not treated like a car chamois. It's just leather chamois. We have them on our website. You can actually lift that. You could use the rubber, the gum erasers, right? The rubber. What are they called? The gross gray erasers that I don't like because they're gooey.
Ones?
Yes. That you can lift stuff with. I don't like them. They're
I don't
gross.
like them either.
Just don't put them in your pocket and wash your jeans.
Yeah,
and
well,
you'll be fine.
Easier said than done, Frida. So yes, there's all sorts of ways that you can lift, and I believe that we talked about that in some of our other pastel episodes as well, Frida. I just don't remember which one it probably was. Ah! Ah!
Are you breaking things?
Yes. Would you expect any less?
No.
Okay, I need to go in and get some darks because this is getting light. But again, that's the beauty. You can do the light and dark. What is going on?
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to split something up with them.
Da, da, da. Just trying to find the right color here. Give me just a minute. That seems very bold. Let's find something a little more grade. There we go. All right. All right. Just coming back in to try to get kind of that darkness of the water. And a bolder, kind of thicker line for it. In fact, I'm gonna have to break this. It'll be easier. Feels so bad breaking these. I feel like when you go and use somebody's stuff and you break it and know it and put it back. That's how I always feel when I do this, Amanda.
You just put it back without telling?
No, it's like, you know, because this is not mine, and I always feel like I've gone in and busted somebody's stuff up and got to just walk away from it.
Will you show the image that you're working from again for a sec? Perfect.
Does that help? Okay, yeah, we got to start darkening up this sky too, but this is too dark, so let's find something a little bluer. All right. Okay. Now I'm just putting this on its side to kind of yeah. Okay, that's starting to soften up a little. All right, I need to figure out what I'm going to do with these clouds here. They're kind of violet-y, and I want to say I had a color that... No, just find that color again, because it seems like... I can't tell if that's it or not. I'm guessing it is. There's some clouds that kind of come back in through here. Now, because these are really soft clouds, they're very lightweight, they're not heavy with rain or whatever, I'm trying to kind of just skim across this, and then you can pat the color in if you want to kind of soften that grittiness. There, take the picture out of the way. See how kind of patting that in softens it and makes it more, it's blending it but not perfectly. I don't want this to be like all smeary, kind of all one amalgamous color. I want that kind of nice softness that looks like how these clouds are kind of skipped across, right?
You're giving it texture.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the smooth blending. It's a little bit more choppy to make it look like a puffy cloud.
Right, because those are clouds that are kind of where they've kind of been scattered across. And here I'm going to make it more, you can see, because further away, right, those clouds are going to be more compressed and dense because you're seeing them from the side, where this you're kind of looking up through, right? Now this is where I am using the end of the stick to kind of draw those clouds in. Putting that on its side to kind of this color comes all the way to the water, so let's put that in there, and then let's find a nice blue that kind of, actually let's pat this up. I'm gonna put this up into this just a little, because that's a little harsh of a color there. Can everybody can hear me all right, right? Or even with my head turned. They've got the mic like right down.
Close enough
It's
for
a
you?
little scary. It's like right here. It looks like a little hedgehog or
rodent?
something that's gonna, yeah. When hedgehogs attack.
Isn't that about the height of one of your Great Danes though?
True.
They're back.
Your
Maybe.
ears, that would be scary.
Yeah. They're back maybe. All right, so let's find a nice blue that would kind of fade in there. I think these are gonna be too dark. Oh. Okay. We're gonna get bold. Okay, I do like that crunchy sound. Okay. This would be where pan pastels would be really awesome because you could put them on that little sponge and kind of pat the color in. Don't you think, Frida?
Yep.
I just want something a little... it needs to be bluer. Maybe this is it.
I'm amazed at how fluffy you made the clouds look.
I like these clouds.
I'm ready to go to the beach.
I'm amazed how fast
Is
it's
it
coming together.
Yeah, I feel like I should take pastels in October when I go to the beach for the National, huh?
Yeah.
See if I can get some beach sunset
Heck yeah.
pictures.
Especially considering where you're staying? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, do we have any viewers that are from the Virginia Beach area or Norfolk or stuff like that? Because I'm gonna be.
Norfolk.
Okay. Well, no. Okay, so I'm gonna be at the Virginia Beach stores right there. I could go over on Wednesday's the day off. I could go over and do a meet and greet thing. What? It'd be fun. I don't want to be around dogs all week.
No, we weren't laughing at you.
Oh.
Tina said, be right back, have to unload some heifers.
You
You didn't know that she was out in the ranch, that would be.
Yeah. Yeah, who's she selling heifers off to? And who are these heifers? Alright. Silly Tina.
Yeah, Virginia Beach store is a great store too. Their new location's really pretty.
Yeah, I think it's literally 20 minutes from where I'm going to be at the National. So, that would be kind of cool.
Ooh, Ginger says she lives 20 minutes from that store.
Ginger. I will post in the Jerry's
Okay,
group.
post it
So
in
if
the
you're in the Jerry's group, I will post a day and time I will come. May have a dog with me because I don't want to leave her in the hot car. She's used to Jerry's stores. She shops there frequently. So what? She does.
Mm-hmm.
We know. All right. I really like this color. It is not the exact color that's in there, but this is such a pretty color. We're putting this in. I don't care. This is called Artistic License. Because I can mix this with something else and then take a little bit of the intensity out of it, right? So I'm just going over that to, this is where I do want to blend this with this color. All right. Now I got to start making some decisions on the rest of this. Here's a lot. I'm starting to get really blue-like. All right. Okay, I know this holding this up is kind of annoying, but you want to keep looking at your image as much as possible to make sure that you're not missing something that you want to put in there. I'm doing this. This is darker than I really want, but I'm going to come back in with something that's a little lighter. pretty close to this, so I will gray this down, but I'm gonna kind of give this beach is pretty blue that they've got here.
What are some of the benefits to using a soft versus a stiffer brush for blending pastels?
Okay, brushes you want to practice with before you're using it on an artwork, because brushes can way over soften stuff really fast. Because anytime you're picking pigment up like that, think about if you're a lady and you put eyeshadow on, right? The soft brushes blend easier, right? The stiff brushes tend to either go from really hard lines next to each other or everything all of a sudden is one amalgamous color, right? So it's all in the delicacy of how you use the brush that's going to give you, because you can take a stiffer brush and really make one color out of two. Softer brush, you can do those kind of blendy nuances, right? But if you're really good at it, you might be able to use one for the other, or vice versa. But it's just all in the how your
It's all in the wrist.
performance of it. Yes, it is. I want to see if there's like oh, that's nice. That might be too dark. Oh, whoa, I like that for this. Okay. Shoreline it's almost the perfect color for this shoreline. I'm kind of just sketching this across here because it's all these little kind of weird pieces of things that I can kind of cut in and out of. Do we want to put the guy in here? There's a guy. What? I kind of like it without the guy, but
Do it without the guy.
I don't think it needs it.
yeah. Okay. There are going to be blue fingerprints all over this. Alright, let's see what this looks like.
Like that's it, unlike any other day.
Well, you know. No, it's too dark. And that is too pink. Alright, so, especially with the grays, always look really carefully, because what may be a more cool gray, just because it's gray doesn't mean that it's the actual gray color you need.
Would you ever use blending stumps? Have you already said that?
You can definitely. I don't like them. I don't feel like I've got good control with them. That's me personally, though. I don't even use them with charcoal or anything else. So it would definitely be something that people could use. You just want to practice again first. Before you just start, using tools in your kind of arsenal of things, definitely give them a shakedown and practice on some scrap paper, the exact same stuff you're going to be using, so that you've got kind of a good idea of how it works. My nose is itchy, and I just want to itch it now.
Don't stick the
No,
pastel
I
in
itch
it.
everywhere. No, I just want to go. All right. Do we have any other? I feel like we're getting close to the
We got
end.
6 minutes.
Okay, what other questions do you guys have? This is not white, but look how easy that goes on and lightens that. See, right over those dark colors? It's not a problem to add. I'm gonna make those clouds darker. I don't like how light they are. Okay, no, I'm gonna have pastel everywhere now, because I itched. I couldn't stand it, Katie.
Like Ophelia last week when she went on her neck.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That was still on there when she got ready to leave. I had to help her get it off.
I think she perpetually has paint on
Yes,
her
she
somewhere.
does. That's okay. We still love her. All right. So I'm going to go into this with a little bit of kind of some scumbly scumbles that'll kind of...
How do you know when you're done?
If you feel, always kind of pay attention to that little voice inside you that's like, hey, better to stop too soon and then go back in than overwork it and then be like, what did I do? So just kind of, you know, if you're in doubt, step back and take a look, right? Because sometimes you can be just so into it that you don't notice that it's really there.
Catherine Denson says she can't wait to take your class at Art of the Carolinas.
Yay! Which class is she taking, Aster? Because there's 4, so I don't know.
Would you ever consider doing a fine art piece with pastels?
Yeah, this
That's what I-
Degas. If you've ever seen any of Degas ballerinas and they look kind of loose and crayony, that's pastel. This has been around since before oil painting, Katie? Wasn't pastel around before oils? I want to say it is.
I want to say, in some form,
Yes. Lots of artists have used it, and even sometimes there will be works at a gallery you don't realize, or a museum that you don't realize are actually pastels, and they are. Even on canvas. There's one at the North Carolina Art Museum that Riker and I went and we were looking at it, and he's like, that's a pastel! And I was like, no. Holy moly, it was. I don't remember. It's like a religious, like some sort of monk or priest or something. What? They switch those around so often I can't remember which one it is.
So with this media, you can add lights over darks without it blending?
Yes. I mean, look at, I've added darks up there. I added this light. It's all in the, you don't want to put it down and drag it across with a lot of pressure. You kind of lightly place it on. That's why it's good to practice, right? Practice putting lights over darks. Practice putting darks over lights.
Catherine is taking Using Color Theory to give animal art a modern twist.
All right. Very cool. What? I like meeting everybody. It was so fun last year. We had such a good time.
We
it was
did.
fun.
Are we doing that again this year?
Oh,
We're
yes.
working on it.
Yes. We'll do a meet and greet. Meet and greet with food and wine.
And art.
I'm so mad that I'm going to be at the beach that week. Sometimes I get to go.
Oh, you're not going to come?
It's
Oh,
beach.
no.
It's during beach week. It's not like, you know how sometimes I leave the day after.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's just the Thursday of beach week. I'm really bummed about it.
She's already been telling me she's going to leave you a shopping list.
Mm-hmm. Get ready.
I'll be out there at a register, so.
Yes.
I'll be running around the workshops
Yes, Kate will.
like a crazy person.
All right. Any last questions? Because we're getting close. And I'll post the picture of this finished in the Jerry's Live group. So it may be, we've got to, pre-film the October 8th episode tomorrow. But by Friday, the end of the day on Friday, say, I'll have it in there so you guys can see. And I'll post the original too. So if anybody else wants to take a crack at it, it'll be there. And by the way, you guys are so awesome for doing homework. I have not really, my life is crazy.
I love
There are 9,000 things going on at any given moment between dogs and kids and people, and having an artist in college who sends me pictures all the time, which that's awesome. Takes response constantly. I am so impressed you guys have been doing homework, especially with the composition and just the caliber of the work and the growth that I've seen in people who have not come to the Jerry's group with as broad of a background in art. Like the growth that you guys have for where you started and where you've come to is just, it makes me so happy. So I don't always get a chance to tell you guys how much I appreciate you guys doing homework and bettering yourselves, but I really do. I'm really, really proud of all of you guys. my blue heart. She doesn't fall in the purple with the blue, right? All right, well, I think we're done. Yep. So we'll post this in the Jerry's Live Facebook group. If you don't know about that, go to Facebook, look at groups, type in Jerry's Live. That will bring you to the group. You have to answer the question if you want to join the group. But it's this awesome crew of very, very supportive people that we all just adore and that really lift each other up artistically. Also, if you missed the beginning of the show, we talked about how JL 126 is going to be an episode with Turner Acrylic Gouache, because we want you to be able to try out Turner and see kind of what acrylic gouache is really like if you've never given it a go. We're going to give away 500 free samples that will be seated and in the mail to you before the show, so you'll have them there while we have the show, so you can try them out first if you want. So if you have questions about it, you can ask them there live, and we're going to be painting an eye. So the girls had posted the link to go to that webpage to be able to fill in your information to secure yourself a sample. As soon as the 500 are gone, though, that's it. There's no more. That's all that Turner has been gracious enough to send us. So make sure if you're interested in that, you sign up. Okay? Thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you next week. Next week is... I wrote it on here, I thought. Drawing. We're doing drawing the intricacies of shading. It's our 4th drawing episode. So we're going to talk about how shading isn't just smudging with your finger. We're going to talk about techniques for you guys to learn and to try and just have a great discussion on shading. Okay? We'll see you guys next week. Take care.